In this video, we're going to work on the booking behavior analysis, which contains two pivot charts and a pivot table report down here. Chart, so number of bookings by month. The second chart, we want to see how many bookings were made 0 to 49 days before arrival, 50 to 99 days before arrival, 100 to 149 days before arrival, 150 to 200 days before arrival. So let's work on these two charts first. They're also pivot charts, and a pivot chart is based on a pivot table. Basically, we first need to do the summarization. We need to summarize the number of bookings per month, and then we build a pivot chart based on that pivot table report. So let's get started. So here I'm back to my hotel data worksheet. I click Insert, Pivot Table, and this time, since it's my first chart or first report that I want to put into the booking behavior analysis worksheet, so I need a new worksheet for that. So I'm going to choose new worksheet. Okay, and maybe I'll change the name now so I remember that I'm doing the booking behavior analysis worksheet now. So we need the month. Okay, so the booking month, and the booking month is here in the booking date. So I'm going to click booking date first. So here you see the booking date automatically goes to the row. Okay, so that's the booking date, and I want to know how many bookings were made on each month. So I need to do the booking ID, and instead of the sum, I want to count. So I right click and I summarize by count. So right now we know how many bookings were made on each day. So for example, on April 7th, there were 2 bookings. On May 4th, there were 5 bookings, and so on. But what I really want is the number of bookings per month, not the number of bookings per day. This is too much detail for me. So I will click on the booking date, and I'm going to right click on it. And over here, you will see there's something called group. So let's look at group. Okay, so my earliest date was April 5, 2019, and my latest date was October 9, 2019. And this time I want to group it by months. So I click months here, and I click OK. And now you'll see that all of my dates have been grouped according to months. And this is what I want. Okay, so now I can see that in April I had 11 bookings, in June I had 20 bookings, in May I had 32 bookings, and total is 91. So this is my pivot table, which will be the source of data for the number of bookings by month chart. So now let me build the chart. So let me close this one. Okay, so for the chart, I click on this pivot table anywhere, and then over here, insert, and you'll see here there's pivot chart. So I just simply click pivot chart, and there are many chart types I can pick from. Right, so what we want is the column. So the column's here already. So I just click, and there's different column types, but I think we'll just stick with the first one, the simplest one, and I click OK. So here's my chart. I'm going to cover this pivot table because I don't need to show it. So here's my chart, and I can clearly see that May is the month where most of the bookings were made because it has the tallest column there. And I don't need this legend here because I only have one data series. So I click the legend, and on the keyboard I press delete. And here is the title. I need to change the title. The title will be number of bookings per month. I can increase the font size, make it 18, and I can make it boldface. You can also control the height and width of the pivot table. Right. Now, we also do not want to show these buttons here, right? This count of booking ID, and by the way, you can still continue to do filtering here. So let's say you just want to compare, April, May, and June. Okay, so this is also interactive, just like because your pivot table is underneath it. So we don't want to let people filter our data. So we're going to hide these buttons. So to hide these buttons, you click on the chart, you go to Analyze, and we just click the field buttons. So we do not want to show the axis field, and we also do not want to show the value field. All right. Now, if you look at the model answer, just for formatting purposes, we don't want the chart to be totally against the left margin. We want to have some room here. So right now we're up against the left margin. So I click on column A over here. I click on this letter A. It selects the whole column. And then I right click on it, and I will say insert. It'll insert a column there. And then you can control this width here. Okay, there. So that looks a little nicer. So this is our first chart. And our second chart is going to be the booking pace analysis. So for the booking pace analysis, we will build a pivot table which uses the booking pace as the row label. And so this is our second chart, booking pace analysis. So again, I go back to my hotel data. I click on any cell in the table, insert, pivot table. And this time I already have an existing worksheet. So I click existing worksheet and I go to the booking behavior. And I want to put the chart somewhere here. So I'll just click here. And I click OK. So now I have my second pivot table here. So booking pace. And I need the booking pace to be in the rows. So this is the number of days before arrival. So I want to put in the rows. But of course, I don't want to see it in detail like this. 13 days before arrival, 16 days before arrival. I want to group it. So we'll group that. So I'm going to right click and group. Okay, so starting at what number, going to which number. So the highest booking pace is 198 days. So instead of starting at 13, just to make it nicer, I'll start at 0 and we'll end at 200. So that way the numbers are more even. And then we're going to increment by 50 in groups of 50. Okay, so we set up our grouping and then I click OK. Okay, so now we have 0 to 49 days, 50 to 99, 100 to 149, and 150 to 200 days. So now that we've done our booking, our grouping, now let's go to the booking ID. So I click here. So we just want the number of bookings. We don't want the sum. So once again, I will right click, summarize by count. So there you have it. We can see that we have 34 bookings which were made 150 to 200 days before arrival. So we can see that our guests tend to plan ahead of time. Most of them did their booking 100 days or more before arrival. Now let's build a pivot chart based on this. So let me close this one. So I click on my pivot table anywhere and insert pivot chart. Okay, and once again, I just want to use the column and clustered columns. So I just go with this one and I click OK. Here's my chart. Now I can cover up my pivot table so you don't have to see it. And there. So I delete this legend. The title. And for the field buttons. Now, I'd like to add labels here because people may not know exactly what is 0 to 49, 50 to 99, and so on. So let's add some field labels. And the field labels will be days before arrival. And then here is number of bookings. So we're going to add labels on the, this is the label for the x-axis, this is the label for the y-axis. So I click on this chart, and then we go to the design. Okay, so we go to the design, and over here you will see there's a add a chart element. So if you want to add something to your chart, you can see if it's here in this list. And we want to add a title to our horizontal axis, the x-axis, and to the primary vertical, the y. So let's do the horizontal first. So I click horizontal. You'll see there's already a placeholder here. So I just have to type days before arrival. And I go back, and on the vertical, I also add an axis. This one is number of bookings. And I format this also as 18 and bold. I can also make this bold. And sometimes it's nice to put a solid background color behind the chart. So I'm just going to select this area here. Okay, so I use my mouse to select this area behind the chart, and I'm just going to put a color there. So that's my, those are my charts. And for the next part, we're going to build this report, which will summarize how many bookings we got for each nationality, for each booking pace category, for each booking pace grouping. So let's build the third pivot table. It will go below these two charts. So I go back to my data. I click on any cell in my table, and then I click Insert, Pivot Table. I go to my existing worksheet, my Booking Behavior Analysis, and I want to put it somewhere below here. Just click here, and I click OK. So now we know that we need the booking pace on the row. So I click booking pace here. And you'll see that it automatically groups it already because I grouped it for the chart, so it remembers. Then nationality. Okay, I click nationality, it went to the row, I just drag it to the column. And then booking ID. Okay, and from the sum, I will summarize it as a count. Alright. Okay, so now I can see the number of bookings for each nationality by booking pace. And if I want to make the columns a little wider, I can make it wider here. Alright. Then I can change the field. Then I can change the design. Change it to tabular form. And pick a... I'll just pick the same design I did for the room type analysis. And for the count of booking ID, I go to Analyze, and I just change the title to number of bookings. And I remove the field headers there. So that's looking good, and I just have to add the title. Merge and center. Okay, so it's up to you what color you want. In the model answer, I use gray, but you can use you can choose your own design. The only thing is don't pick colors that are too bright. So usually blue and gray are the best choices. And I leave it to you to format your report so that the column width is a bit more distributed. Okay, so you can play around with this, because right now the charts are a bit too wide, and this one is a bit too it's not balanced. So we want the report to be as wide as the charts. Okay, so up here the charts, if you want them, you can actually resize the charts too, so they're not running off the page. You want to avoid having people having to scroll to see your entire content. Okay, so we can balance the width of the charts with the width of our report. Okay, so I leave you to work on this now. And this is our booking behavior analysis.